And Schedule Podcast is on the air. I am Carlos Gomez, and I'm going to have to ask you all to be very patient with me because we have so much new stuff happening right now. First off, I think we're going to have to welcome everyone on Facebook. If you guys can hear me, please let me know. If not, I guess there's no way for you to tell me that that you guys can't hear me, but that's how we do. With us this week, we have an incredible artist. So good that my man doesn't sleep. You know what? He works at Insomniac Games. That, my friends, is Gavin Goulden.
Thank you.
What's up, guys?
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
We usually have a studio audience with us, but Jack is off today, and that sounded bad.
Yeah, and they always say Jack, so he's like, he's not gonna be here. See ya. Bye.
So Jack is stuck at work, but again, we have the Toyota of podcasts.
Oh,
that, my friends, is Charlie B. Williams III.
I thought you were gonna say. I literally thought you were gonna say we have the Toyota of like podcast host or something instead of Jack. That is Charlie. I thought it was. I was gonna say something smart and possibly cuss you out, but it's all good. I'm here. Thanks, guys.
It's all good.
What are you doing? I'm really excited to have Gavin on the show. Yes.
Excited to be here. It's great.
Sweet.
Welcome.
So far, so good. I got the studio audience and everything.
Right.
Yeah. We usually, we give them vacation time and stuff. It's in the handbook.
You don't need to roll out the red carpet for me. I understand.
All right. So right now I'm opening up the chat on YouTube just to make sure that that folks are being tended to. Speaking of which, hey,
yes.
If anyone has a question for anyone on the panel, please feel free to use the. See, this is everything is so anti-dramatic when there's no music. Gavin, just so you know, and we'll talk about this in a little bit. Your podcast would be so phenomenal if you had, say, a Jack Kasperzak with you, because he's the sound guy, and he has the studio audience in a little box, and whenever we need them to cheer, he opens the box and they pop out and they scream and yell and everything is good. And then when we go to announce the hotline, he has The Price is Right in another little box. And so right now it should be Sketch Zone Hotline 408-753-8248. Unless you are calling in internationally, that would be 011-408-753-8248. And that is it. Hey Charlie, do me a favor. Go onto our Facebook page.
Yes, I'm already there.
If you can't track the, it's working. Whether or not
it looks nice. It's nice.
Whether or not we can hear, I don't know. But there you have it.
Sweet.
So we start off every show trying to catch up with everyone's week.
Yeah.
So how has everyone's week been going?
It's been going pretty good. I can't complain. Doing some cool things at work. Everything's good with that. I've been sharing it with you guys in the group chat, so hopefully we'll show it here soon. Some
nice.
coming. Yeah, but cool.
Nice. Hey, Gavin, anything cool in the world of Insomniac Games that we can we can talk about and not get you fired?
I think that's the rub, honestly. I mean, there's plenty of cool things happening, but I can't really say anything. But
all right.
I mean,
you drove to work, you did a bunch of secret stuff, and you drove back.
Yeah, I drove to work. I sat there for a period of time. Then I got back in my car and drove home. And everything's awesome. I mean, as you guys know, I'm working on Spider-Man, and that's like a a childhood dream of mine. Like I never thought the stars would align and let this happen. But it did, and it's great.
Have you guys seen the movie?
Beautiful, amazing, best Spider-Man ever. Nothing else matters before this movie.
Charlie, back away.
Yeah,
You're scaring the kids.
I just had to put that out there. You had to say it with force. That nothing else matters besides this Spider-Man movie.
Take what you knew about Spider-Man movies, get rid of it, throw it away, burn it to the ground.
Yeah. Gavin just said it doesn't exist. Go out and see Spider-Man Homecoming.
Do you guys think anyone is ever going to be able to make a good Superman movie?
Give it to Marvel.
Yeah, I'm a bit biased here, I think.
Joint studio venture, just like they just did Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you Fox is happy. No, all seriousness, really good movie. Down to earth. The most down to earth Marvel film we've had since the very first Iron Man. So that feeling you got when you watched Iron Man for the first time, I would say it'd be similar to Spider-Man, only because they had a rendition of the original song Spider-Man. Like when it started off, it was good, and the dude, even though he's 20 in real life, dude is every bit of 15 in the movie. It feels like a 15-year-old,
Yeah.
So that's the freshness of it. He's a kid, in high school. Even the high school parts, nowadays can seem contrived in like movies because everything's a weird variation of Mean Girls or something like that. But this one felt cool and it felt okay. I wasn't like rolling my eyes or anything too much. They even had a couple of funny parts that I laughed at, for the high school segment. Yeah, and it was good. It was really good. What do you think, Gavin? Did you see it yet?
I haven't seen it yet.
Go see it.
Yeah, I've heard plenty about it. Obviously, given my being surrounded by people working on it and stuff like that. But no, I want to see it. Honestly, maybe this is giving you too much information about myself early. Maybe I'm showing my hand, but I'm not a huge movie guy. I know.
Okay.
I know. But so I've got to figure out the perfect timing to go. Maybe get like I'm an old man. I'm basically an old man in like a 30-something-year-old body, right? But I need my soup in a nearly empty theater, a nice matinee, and then I'll watch it. But I'm looking forward to it. And I hear Vulture's really cool too, and I like the villains.
Michael Keaton does a great job. Like he's creepy as a bad guy, like scary.
Yeah.
Like
totally.
Which even felt really. It felt, without giving anything away, it felt like, I don't know why I want to say it felt like a Spider-Man movie, but it felt like a movie, I don't know, because I can't even say animated, but like Spider-Man always feels like he's up close and personal with his villains at times, It's like being a part of the neighborhood and stuff like that. Like, so, there's interactions there where you're like, oh my God.
So we got Gabriel Salazar de Ukidi. I'm sorry I did that to your name, dude.
Wow.
Gabriel. He says, as a Spider-Man fan, that movie was amazing. They finally got both Peter Parker and Spider-Man right.
Yep. Speak your truth, Gabriel.
I'm not going to talk to you. I'm not going to make fun of you too much, but Spider-Man and Peter Parker, I don't know if you knew this, are the same person. He also says Michael Keaton was amazing, and I agree with that. Michael Keaton. I remember when that movie first came out, everyone was pissed off that they got a comedian to play Batman, and then he crushed it.
Oh yeah. That was
so.
Yeah. No. But like, I think Gabe was saying that like before, even with the other Spider-Man movies, they didn't even get Peter Parker right, like in terms of like how he was at high school and stuff.
That's such a huge part of the character, right? I mean, like you're saying, Charlie, is basically, and we say it all the time, but like the best stories about Spider-Man are when Peter Parker's world and Spider-Man's world collide, right? So when you have this like personal element to all of his interactions, that's what makes it great. That's why he's, in my opinion, that's why he's the best superhero, is because it's that human nature to it, right? And you know, I mean, I hear the same about Homecoming, but even like in the old ones, and I'm not gonna you know, talk shit about them or anything like that. But you know, I think they fail at that because I think they're going for like needless like spectacle and stuff like that. Like they're trying to just like overdo it and not have the heart that Spider-Man has. You know?
Yeah. That's a good thing you said there. It has heart. It has a lot of heart, and all the characters in it. You believe. But also before they didn't make Peter Parker, like I didn't like Tobey Maguire one, and I said myself I wouldn't talk about these, but like I didn't like those only because like he didn't come off smart, like to me in that one. Peter Parker's like really smart, you know, like he got bit, right, and that's cool, but the getting bit was the part that gave him like super strength, agility, Spidey sense, all that stuff.
Right.
Besides all that,
he's crazy.
Dude is like really smart.
Yeah.
So all the web stuff that he's developed and all the other stuff to help him enhance, because without his smartness, he'd be basically a brute superhero, right? But because he's smart too, and they gave him like Spidey sense and all this other stuff, it's like the best of both worlds, being smart, and it's like in the comic books. I'm a comic book nerd too. I'm sorry, but like in the comic books, when they kick the Hulk off of the Earth, because you can never beat the Hulk, you just have to constantly send them back into space. So you got the whole Planet Hulk series and stuff like that, and he happens to actually become smart, where they're able to like be able to be smart in the Hulk form. That was like a big overgrown Spider-Man at that point, because now you have super strength, and the Hulk just gets madder. So we don't really know how strong the Hulk is. He's infinitely strong. But imagine giving him Bruce Banner's mind at the same time. Like he was like ruling planets and stuff. It's like it sounds even so much more interesting, you know. So shrink him down into Spider-Man, you know, it's great. Even the side comments, like the little wisecracking stuff, the way he did it.
That's the part I was looking forward to.
And it was good. It wasn't forced. You know, when people do it before, it's like, you know, it's forced. It's all campy and stuff. Right. This is just like a 15-year-old talking smack while he's beating on you. You know. I think one of the cool seeds that they set or that they planted with this movie was, if you think about it, Peter Parker and why can't I think of Iron Man's name? Tony Stark.
Yeah, Tony Stark. They're basically the same person at a different time frame in their life, with the exception of the money that Tony Stark has. They're both crazy smart. They're both, you know, smart asses. It's just Tony Stark has mad cash, and Peter Parker got bit. So that's the part that I was looking forward to more than anything, because being a professional smartass, I look forward to those parts of the movie, and I wanted to see the interaction between these two, and it's really cool to see. I think it's safe to say that Iron Man just kind of takes Spider-Man under his wing and tries to teach him how to be a superhero without going overboard and without, you know, because he knows how dangerous it is, blah blah blah. So
which is like
he does have a little bit of a heart.
In the best way Robert Downey Jr. can teach anybody anything. So it's the best. It's the best. It's good. Just please, if you guys haven't seen it, go out and see it. It's good. It's
out in
really
theaters
good.
near you.
It's really good. You know, it's one of the first times in the end credit sequence that they used a actual soundtrack for this instead of a score. A little bit of motion graphics knowledge there. With the Ramones, yeah, you know, so that's cool. They use the Ramones. Obviously, you remember Spider-Man's born and raised in Brooklyn. So
one of the literally big announcements that happened this week. Also,
what's up?
Wacom announced a 32-inch Cintiq this week.
Boo. How do you announce something and not really show it?
Well,
I was
there's a lot of tech
all over
companies.
that website, and I watched that video that some, once again, motion graphics dude made, and I'm like, cool, let's watch it. And I'm like, seeing a bunch of colors, and then it gets to the end, I'm like, what's it look like? And then so I hate when they like wait to reveal something. I want to see what it looks like. That's why you go to the site. You don't go to the site to watch some cool video and get an experience. Everybody trying to do the Apple thing. Just show me the thing. Have you seen it yet?
Hang on, these dogs are going crazy. Can you guys hear my dogs going crazy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dogs want to speak up about the Cintiq.
How could they announce it, not show it?
Right? You know? That Charlie guy's right.
Yeah. You guys speak amongst yourselves. I'm gonna close it on.
No worries. Yeah. So like that was the weirdest thing about the whole thing. Which usually, you know, you go to the, I guess you can call it the landing page or whatever you want to call it for these sites, and they have a nice picture of the thing, what it's gonna look like, blah blah blah. But yeah, these are like Cintiqs, Gavin. Eventually, they're gonna be like.
Yeah, dude. I think I'm playing this game of like trying to figure out how long I'm going to hold out until I get a new Cintiq. Because I feel like one of the original ones like over here, right?
Right.
And like then I'm like, man, maybe I should get an HD one. You know, that'd be nice. And then they announce like an even bigger one. I'm like, well, maybe I'll hold out for that one. Then like before, like I'm just gonna keep waiting. It's like, well, now we have like a 50-inch Cintiq or something. Like, oh,
you know what it's gonna do? It's gonna curve. It's gonna be It's gonna be a C shape.
This wraps around me, and I can like, you know,
you can just draw a line all the way around.
Exactly. I'm just spinning around in my chair as I scroll.
Yeah. You know, so like, I just at this point, you know, I don't have a Cintiq here. I still only have this one monitor here, one widescreen monitor here, because I've been like you. I probably need to get another monitor here, and I just haven't got one yet. So I have nothing on this side of my desk that I need another monitor for. Really? See, this is why people don't like you on the internet. They gloat.
What?
Yeah, your Cintiq.
No hands. No hands. What? I get what? No hands. What? I can do what?
Are you gonna buy a new one?
No, hell no.
Exactly. Yeah,
and I think that's one of the financial struggles, I guess, that Wacom has been having to deal with is the fact that they build these things and they last for such a long time that everyone keeps them, and even if they don't, they then take this, sell it, and then buy a new one, and keep it. You know, the younger generation buys the older generation's used stuff, and then so it's they're and I hope they're not listening. Chances are they're not, but
you never know. DaCosta could have put them on,
right?
DaCosta will get one on. Shout out to DaCosta Bailey, friend of the show. Resident Cintiq and Wacom guy. But yeah, like I guess they might be banking on studios. I mean, well, here's an example. Gavin, like how many people on your team for the character guys use Cintiqs? Is it everyone?
So we've got 8 people and 7 use a Cintiq.
Okay.
There's one guy that holds out, man. It's like he's a freak of nature. I don't know. Like it's like he prefers the tablet to. All right,
Yo,
man. I've actually got. There's another person on my team that models in like Max using the Cintiq. It blows my mind. It's like I don't know how you can possibly do that. And I mean, I'm impressed. I ain't even mad. I'm impressed.
Yeah. I'm always like that when I see people pulling out, or even the film guys, and then they're pulling out like the Cintiq and they're in Maya, and they're just going at it.
Gabriel in the chat room says, "I sculpt with a mouse." You poor, yeah, exactly. You masochist.
There's always one at a studio that's old school, but he gets his stuff done, and you just don't understand how he does it. And you just like, cool. I got my Intel 4. I'm good. It's the one I got. Don't laugh.
Not anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, you remember when?
That's not safe. It's safe.
So, how far back? That might be a horrible interview question, but how far back was it that when a job interview question? Because you're not supposed to ask questions like this, but how far back has it been since, Gavin, you've been in school? Like, did you learn on mouse, or did you learn?
So, I guess crossing the line of HR friendly interview questions or whatever. But so I was in school in 2002, I think. So I think I started using a mouse, and then I bought a Graphire 2, and that was like my first tablet that I had. But I basically had to like lug it to and from home every day. But that was like obviously before ZBrush or anything like that. So it would be all texture painting at that point.
That's when Photoshop was king.
Yeah. Yeah. Before the Substance days
before the Substance.
Yeah.
I always talk about that. I always talk about that when we're talking about going to school and stuff like that. I remember when 3D Max, Maya was way too expensive, and 3D Max only had like six balls that you can add color to. Like texture wasn't even a thing yet.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was max like 2. When I started going to school, it was max 2, and it was moving into 2.5. And it was hot trash.
I think I have a max 2.5.
Whoa.
Old school disc around here somewhere.
That's crazy talk.
Yeah, in a box somewhere. You know, remember in school? Okay, Gavin, you remember this too. Carl should remember this too. You had the CD cases, you know, of all your like burnt work. When you leave school, you burn a CD, label it, and throw it in your case. And so by like 2 years in, you have like a Bible of CDs with different random projects on it.
Yeah, I used to do that with reference too. So I would have like reference CDs, and then I would have all of like my work in progress and stuff like that. So I just ended up having a bunch of CDs laying around my desk that were just labeled like reference or like 3D work or something like that. And like I don't
spool.
It's like I don't know what these are. This is like immediately as like external hard drives or like USB storage became normal. I just like immediately threw away all of them. I don't know. Like I don't even think I had a DVD drive for like 5 years. I don't know. Like I never used it.
Go ahead.
Westberg in the chat room says, I still have a box of zip drives.
Wow. Yeah, you do, Westberg. I believe it too. And they probably work. There's some cool projects on there you should get out that we should like dust off. Just saying.
I know, right?
That's a good idea. Funny. Oh man, great stuff. Well, I knew it was the future when my new rig that I built, I guess last year now, when I said to myself as I'm in the giant mega computer store, you know what? I'm not buying a CD drive. I'm not going to do it. I don't think I need it.
Ryan Brockmeyer said in the chat room. Ryan Brockmeyer said, "I found my old demo reel on VHS when I moved."
Nice. You know, shout out to Ryan Brockmeyer, because Ryan, I have many of a lot of people's demo reels saving for ransom. I think I have Mr. Westberg's one in my closet over here too.
Mine might be floating around somewhere. Storage somewhere.
Oh man, Gavin, where were you when I was in school? Well, we were doing more. No, because I went from modeling, so I always thought to myself, the pain I went through making that thing, and then I had the specialty capsule cases, dude, because we had to put all our stuff to tape, so that was even worse. Knowing good and well is going to get tossed.
That's crazy.
Little college money. But we had a media arts animation degree, so like we should have had them was to a point. But I was like, I'm modeling though. I don't really need this.
No, I absolutely agree. As you hinted at last week, but yeah, I mean, I think when I was in school, it was maybe around when VHS was just stopping, right? Because I think I had a reel that I burned off or whatever it be, but I don't know, transported to tape, and yeah, man, it's like my experience is super disheartening because basically I put together all these tapes in my apartment and went to some job fair thing and just handed them out to like the companies that I was interested in. There's just like a wall of VHS tapes. Just like, fuck, man, this is
you're like
depressing.
I'll never forget.
Ashley.
What's up, Ashley? I'll never forget. After finally, like 2 years after, graduating and then finally interviewing with EA, your portfolio goes through a lot of changes when you like actually figure out what they kind of need to show, to get in.
Yeah,
so I did that. And now I'm halfway there, right in the interview process. It literally took all day, and I'm sitting in the HR's office, about to have my last interview with the head of the studio, which was then Kudo Tatsunada, which is now Microsoft executive. And I'm waiting, right? And I'm just waiting. I'm kind of tired and nervous at the same time because now it's the big guy. And I'll never forget one of the office people had like a box of demo reels. And asked the HR recruiter, what should we do with these? So like, oh yeah, those are old ones. You can just probably toss them. And I watched her toss them into a garbage can.
Shit.
Oh my god!
And in my head, I was like, that just sucks.
Yeah.
Like I had a realization. Like I don't think I've told the story too much, but I had a realization. Like, man, all that money, because like they didn't make it either. I'm sure they looked at them. Or maybe they didn't, but some of them they looked at just didn't cut it. And then they said, well, now studios, as well as, I bet you, Carlos, you can attest to this as being a career service advisor at one point in time in your life. Like, you start to get that wall of tapes after a year, after 2 years. So, like, imagine what a studio gets, after 6 months, if they're like a big studio like EA, or after 2 months. Like, somewhere, or you have rooms and rooms of tapes. It's crazy.
Yeah,
So go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, since I'm currently in the phase of reviewing portfolios and hiring for a position I have on my team, which is what has sparked me to rant so much about demo reels and portfolios and things like that. Usually I get like triggered or something like that, and I just have to start ranting about it.
Yes.
But just yelling at clouds like an old man. Yeah, so we basically had, I think this is maybe like our 6th or 7th opening over the past few years or so, just like building the team up. And so far, the success rate is about 1%, maybe a little bit less. So, for right now, I'm hiring one artist, and I have over 100 applications. So I mean, that's basically like the digital version of what you saw. There's like at least 99 of these like portfolios that represent time and effort, and on both sides, right? Everything. It's crazy, dude. When you sit there and think about it, I've just started, because I'm also a huge nerd, obviously. I've started tracking all of this information about all the applicants that I get. And I'm trying to, my end goal is to like start graphing out trends and start watching how, like, maybe there's a better success rate from different schools, different areas, like different like different behaviors, or I guess different choices that people make in their portfolios and stuff like that, or just the way that they do it, like what's common, right? So I have some kind of like facts that's more than just me being like, I do this for a living, listen to me, I'm right, you know what I mean? It's like I can point to these like numbers and show, right, like what a lot of people are already saying. But I don't know, I guess I just kind of want to see if I can visualize this stuff and be like, there's your problem, you know?
For sure, yeah, for sure.
But you know, who doesn't like graphs, right? Maybe a pie chart.
What are some of the things that you see consistently happening that might turn off a hiring manager, let's just call them that, from someone who's applying?
Right. So in my case, just, you know, from character artists for video games, I feel like I have to caveat that because obviously there's, you know, so many specializations, and different ones have different rules and stuff like that.
Sure.
But for me, obviously, it's a demo reel thing. I mean, I think it's like an archaic way of showing your work. I think, you know, your time can be better spent like making the art better, and really, it's almost becoming a deterrent at this point. Like it's such a time sink and like such an effort to look at your work that it's almost like saying, like I can just close it immediately. You know what I mean? There's like people that just don't even bother like looking at this. So there's that. For game art, there's like an insane amount of portfolios that don't actually have game art in them at all. So just basically having like pages and pages of sculpts, you know, and whether there's like some studios that do have that, like they do have roles for people that you're the sculptor, you're the material guy or whatever. But I mean, that's super rare, you know. And like the thing with games compared to other you know, other industries is that it's like really, really technical, right? So I mean, not only are you just an artist, I mean, it's super rare for you just to be able to sit down and do art like all day. I mean, you have to understand like implementation, you understanding like technical boundaries that you have to hit. And that's honestly part of the, you know, the good part of the job, right? Is that you're working within this boundary to make something look awesome that people interact with, right? And if you can't show that in your portfolio, it's like such a turn off, you know? But yeah, that's another huge thing for sure.
Did we talk about the school that you went to?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I mean we mentioned that I went, but I don't even think it's open anymore. I actually went to I'm Canadian. I don't know if you can tell that from maybe I'm dropping a lot of vowels when I shouldn't be or something like that. But I'm originally from the East Coast, and I went to a really small school in New Brunswick, and which is like right above Maine. And I went there. It was for an animation and visual effects degree. But I knew that I wanted to get into games, and obviously, as you guys know, this is during a time where no one knew anything about the industry. You know what I mean? So I would like go to my.
It was a unicorn.
Yeah. So I went to you know, what I guess in high school would be like my guidance counselor or some whatever it was, like my career advisor or something. And
those are good people.
Yeah, I know. I'm learning that now. But when I was an angsty teenager, I didn't think so. And you know, I was like, okay, well, how do I? Like, I knew I wanted to make games. Like, I was messing around with like the Max demo and stuff on my own. Like, it was like you guys are saying, like Max 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, man. Like, I made like a cube or something. I'm like, oh fuck, this is awesome. And I was doing like mods for like pixel art for Doom and Quake and stuff like that. And like Unreal Tournament, I think just came out maybe around there. And I'm like, yeah, I want to do this. I'm like, okay, so how do I? Sorry if this is like rambling about, you know, a very easy question. But basically,
no. Go for it.
Keep going.
You're saving me a lot of work.
All right. So I'm like, all right. So how do I make art for video games? And they directed me to a fine arts degree, right? And I'm not like, I have a hard time even calling myself an artist. Like, I'm not a fine art guy. Like, I don't really paint or do anything like that. I just wanted to make games. I wanted to make the art for games and not like do, whatever. I guess in my head, I'm like, I don't really want to do I don't want to draw naked people and paint fruit and stuff like that. So
exactly.
So obviously, being a stubborn kid, I make a portfolio, but I mean, I don't have any training. I'm drawing like comic stuff and like doing things like that. I get rejected, and I'm like super like hurt over it. And I'm literally, and this should, being older and being able to look back on, I'm like, oh, of course, like you're a fucking idiot. Like you shouldn't have done this, right? But I'm like literally looking through a magazine, and I see an ad for this school, and I'm like, yeah. Do you want to make games? Yes, I do. Yes, I do want to make games. So I end up like in my head, because everything that is been told to you about school is that they know like that, you go to school, you get the job, you're done, right? And yeah, I mean, I just assumed it was as legit as anything else. You know what I mean? So I called the recruitment center or something, and like, hey, so what do I got to do? Do I got to make a portfolio or anything? They're like, no, just here's the tuition and whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I get like the tuition together, get accepted, go to the school, like Center for Arts and Technology in Fredericton, and I go, and like, I mean, it's not all bad. Like, I'm not gonna shit all over schools
right
immediately. I mean, we got like another hour left.
Yeah,
but it was, I mean, not really that great. I mean, but I also didn't know what I was getting myself into, right? Like, I went wanting to make games, but it was like an animation and effects thing.
Okay.
And I ended up like learning, like 2D animation and like illustration, like compositing, rendering, like all this stuff, like everything. And actually, when it came down to the final year and like wanting to do having to do your demo reel for our school, and I know this isn't really common anymore, but then it was basically a way to wrap up all the things that you've learned in the past year in this like second and I think maybe third year or something like that, and making this like story-driven demo reel. So you had to do basically what I was looking at was spending like 50 grand at the time to concept, storyboard, make animatics, animate, model, rig, render, put it all together, and then like ship that out, and write a story in a year, right? And I'm like, all I want to do is make characters for games. That's the whole reason I got here. So let me make a reel full of characters, right? And they wouldn't let me, so I quit and I moved across the country and became a line cook and worked on my portfolio on my own time, and I got like a job like a year later doing pixel art.
Boom.
Yeah.
Wow. Beautiful. Like, you're not gonna let me? Okay, cool, I'm out.
Again, I think I've mellowed out as I've gotten older, but when I was a kid, I was very much I'll do what I want kind of thing, and it's like definitely one of those things. It's like, man, there's no way I would do that now. Like, there's no way I would like drop everything, like put all of my belongings in a bag. I got on a train and took a train across the country. I never even left my province, or my state. You know what I mean? So imagine just like,
You do know you're like, writing your own narrative for that demo right now with telling your story.
yeah, that's the thing. Who knew? The sad irony of the situation is that I've written my own perfect demo reel that I hate so much.
It's so much stuff you can model. Train, the characters, the guy with the bag of all his stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting rundown car you stick it into. I'm gonna leave.
The stupid kid that won't go to sleep and continues to cry.
The funny sidekick best friend. I'll go too. I just don't have any stuff. No, so this leads kind of into a question that the chat had from Mr. West Burke. And based on us talking about our schooling and stuff like that, he wants to know, what's the percentage of applicants do you see coming from either a traditional school, meaning traditional training, right, at a private or university, versus just those that are self-taught?
I would say like the vast majority is from school. With education in just fine arts is probably pretty low. I think a lot of people come from a place like Ringling or SCAD or Art Institute or something like that. That's I guess more like digital based and not necessarily fine arts based. I mean, obviously there's like fine arts classes in there, but not the focus.
Yeah, because I think it's like a lot of times we're seeing now with the fluctuation of YouTube and online training and online websites and stuff like that. We see a lot of people online, at least, learning themselves, and then we're just trying to see if that's starting to head into people applying at major studios and stuff like that, or is it just, or is it hard to see them yet? Or is it just a fluctuation of all those schools? I'm sure they're in there too, because I've seen a lot of success stories on Polycount and a couple other sites and stuff like that of people being self-taught, and kind of doing what you did, but just doing it right after high school and saying, I'm not going to school. I'm just going to learn this, on my own, and watch these videos or apply at this site here or there, and then go,
Yeah, I mean, I think there's I think like knowing what I know and like how I handled the situation, I don't think I would have changed anything. I think for me, like I consider myself like self-taught, even though like I went to school for a year, but man, like the amount of other garbage that I stuffed into that year is like, I don't know. I mean, I basically learned how to kind of use XSI at the time. But I think that's just like how I learned. Like I learned by doing it. So I'm more of a self-learner, I guess. But I mean, not everybody is, and school is beneficial to other people. So I mean, it's not all bad, right? It's just like in my case, not good.
Can you pick out a demo reel from someone that went to school versus someone that learned on YouTube?
I don't think so. I mean, honestly, if this doesn't sound snarky or anything like that, but I think if somebody learned online for character art, they probably don't have a demo reel, because they've probably learned to like just post a portfolio on ArtStation, and you know what I mean? Like they don't really bother with the demo reel. I think that demo reel is basically a byproduct of going to school.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's a byproduct of going to school, and I think it's a byproduct of basically attributing one way of preparing a workforce for one industry that doesn't relate to the other. So like I said, like me and like Jack, who's not here tonight, or Carlos we went to the art institutes, type of schools, and we had degrees in media arts and animation, which was really getting us ready for a job in film, i.e. a cinematic studio or a major studio like ILM or Pixar or someone like that, or maybe a smaller one, direct to video type of stuff. It was for animation jobs, right? So with that being said, and I think we're talking about this whole podcast is based off of the great article that you wrote over at Flip Normals, entitled "Why I Hate Demo Reels." With that being said, even you saying this, if it's for animation, it's for visual effects. If it's something that's moving, obviously you need some kind of video-based showcase in some kind of way to show off your stuff. So I think what happened. I went to school October 2000 to 2004. In that time frame, around you were in the school around the same time. That was a degree to do when you did find the art school degree at first. There was no game art and design degree when I started college. There wasn't. There are just a lot of animation ones, and you ran into that too, even in 2002. And I think what schools did, the good ones and the bad ones and the ones in between, they took that animation degree model and tried to attribute it to a game art degree, you know, because, you know,
absolutely.
a lot of them, and I kind of learned how they build curriculum based on teaching at the college for 4 years. You know, that demo reel class is centered around everything all the way back through your fundamentals of design, only based off of like you trying to prepare you for a job in the industry. But if it was for film, you know, that makes sense, because then you can branch off into, like, if they're animated and you want to be animators, then cool, you need to make that demo reel. Even modelers, you want to make your turntables and all that good stuff, you know. And I think for the first couple of years, that kind of worked, but it only worked if you were really good artists and you had those rare students that like, okay, this is a good reel. It got to the point. It showed me what I need to see, you know, and he had a good supplemental of like high res work on his site. But I think as it got popular, right, as the notion where everybody and their mama started having a game art design degree everywhere, you know, then it started coming into, okay, how do we fill a curriculum? You know, we have this other ones, or we're just techie school, or we don't have any kind of art-based, you know, curriculum outside of this. How do we do this? And what is our end goal, you know? So then, like you said, it becomes contrived, because then everything becomes about how do you make that demo reel. And I would love for you to kind of go in a little bit of detail of, like, you know, the overview of the article you wrote, because I think we'll get some really good topics out of those, you know, out of those different sections, and kind of what that entails, you know. So like, yeah, so I think we can get into that now too. But I think that's where it came from.
That's
you know?
Okay. Give them a chance.
Yeah. I mean, do you want me to just monologue about it, or
jump in? But let's
or we can have a discussion.
Yeah. We can have a civil discussion about this.
No, it's good. Yeah.
But
actually, can we start here? Gabriel in the chat room asked, could it be that self-taught people get filtered by HR?
So I think it depends. Where you're applying. For my particular team, I don't get things filtered. So I do it all on my own, only because in the past I guess maybe I have trust issues or something like that. But I'd rather look at a portfolio that I know isn't like applicable and then remove it, versus having somebody like this diamond in the rough that made like a typo or something and they don't get included, because that sucks.
Right.
So I don't, but I know bigger companies must, like EA must have like HR filtering and things like that. And really, I mean, I think it depends on the position. I mean, I don't think schooling is necessary to get a job in the industry at all. But I mean, it is for visa reasons, and usually the education limit that they put on the job is for something like that. It's for like, it's basically a way to reject you, and that's the reason. That's the reason why, without really any question, kind of thing.
We can touch on the fact that something that you said earlier, where you yourself are sitting there, you're looking for one person to fill one spot, and you have 99 demo reels, and it's at the point, and you know, you can chime in on this, but it's at the point where everyone who is coming out of school or learning or whatever, if you have a demo reel, a lot of the skills are, I mean, they're up there. There are some that are, what do the French say? Shitty.
I would like to say though, I don't think they're getting, unless it's like
so much monsters, dude. You read my mind. 99 folios, but a reel ain't one.
Nice. Yeah, I do think if you're in the U.S. per se, maybe Gavin made a good point about, you know, them being filtered based off visa reasons and stuff. But I don't think you would get filtered if you're self-taught and you're good, and your stuff is good. And if it's good, it's gonna get through to a Gavin, and he's gonna see it. And they're not really gonna, at least I guess I would like to think if you're living in the U.S., if you're out of the country, maybe that'll be a little bit hard based on that visa. But I don't want to make it seem like people think they might get filtered if they don't have that schooling.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's certainly possible to be self-taught and get the job.
And at the end of the day, you can have a degree and have a really bad demo reel.
Yeah.
There's someone who just took that money, bought the software, and is just killing it.
Yeah. And then you'll get filtered.
Then you get filtered.
Yeah.
But I've seen this happen where someone has, whether they went to that that school before, or they have some ties to a certain school where they do use that as leverage to get people out. But that's just bad luck.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some type of networking benefit to school, or like that's a possibility, Yeah, exactly right. If your teacher is like, here we have Noman, right? Like that's the big one. So if you're a teacher,
you're down in LA right now?
Yeah. So if your teacher works at blah 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 wherever, maybe there's an off chance that there's an opening, they like your work, and they bring you in for, like, I don't know, a contract or something like that, and that leads to like a full-time job. So there's kind of like the idea of like a foot in the door, I guess.
Right.
So that's possible. And I mean, there's definitely building at least from my perspective, and I'm assuming people that aren't in like an industry hub city, there's some kind of benefit to having a group of like-minded people around you that you're learning with and stuff like that. So I mean, if you have no idea what's going on and you get like, grouped together and have like some kind of instructor that can teach you about, like jobs, and then like your friends might get a job, they can help you get a job, blah, 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 right? Like it all kind of builds up. But I don't know. I mean, maybe I don't know if I've ever got a job based off knowing somebody. So I hear this happens though. I hear you can make connections.
I think
and it helps.
I think it does happen to give you referrals to help you get in the foot. But I do think based off of the game industry, it's one of the coolest things I've seen, or it could be hard for some hardest things also, is that like you can know a lot of people, you can get referrals, but it still comes down sometimes to how well you do that art test.
Yeah.
And that real, which is kind of a badge of honor a little bit for the game industry, because other industries are not as strenuous when getting in. It's about how good your portfolio is and then how well you interview, But like it's that little extra bit that want to make sure you're legit.
I think proper networking does actually help quite a bit, because it helps alleviate that question of, can I get along with this person? Is it, I mean, you might have a cool demo reel, but you might be a jerk.
Yeah.
I
mean,
how many times has that happened?
Like, are you asking how many times I've met good artists that are assholes?
Yeah.
Look at you.
I mean, we don't need a number. I mean, like that's like saying I have three black friends.
Yeah, it's like ballpark. I mean, present company excluded, of course.
Does it happen a lot, or is it just kind of?
It's happened. I mean, it's definitely happened. I wouldn't say it happens a lot, but really, like the way that I guess in the past few companies where I've been in like a hiring position, you end up kind of filtering that out, right? Because I mean, you do like, you do the work, like you'll do the phone interview, right? I mean, honestly, you can tell if someone.
You can tell. You can always tell. They can't hold back.
Yeah. So you do that, and you're like, all right, this
7.
Yeah, it's
7 times.
Seven's a pretty good number.
The chat is hilarious tonight.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think that kind of gets weeded out, like the bad attitude. But I mean, team fit's like the real deal, man. I mean, it matters.
It matters, man. Yeah.
You know, it's like you can't just show up to work and not talk to people or whatever, right? Like, you got to kind of, obviously, like, team fit can be used for good and bad too, right? I mean, you don't really want to exclude people because they don't watch the same show that you do, but I mean, knowing that you're going to be sitting next to this person for like 60 hours a week or something like that, you know, you know, you don't want to have to.
Man. You'd be good. Just don't talk shit.
Yeah, don't touch me. It's like, well, I make sure like every day I walk in and do my rounds and just look for DC Comics on the desks, and it's like, I'm watching you.
And then you feel combative.
Yeah, just fucking slap it right out of their hands.
Yo, a week later, you're just like really hard critique, just really, really hard. You know what? Let's just we'll just give it to somebody else to do that.
It's like,
This is not working. It feels too DC. I mean, all
right. I mean, I don't know. So I hear. I don't know. People say that. Yeah. Okay, these orders come on from up on high. All right.
People say you're not committed. People say you're not committed. You don't even know. They don't even know you anymore.
We have a question on the chat room. I was going to go off on a different tangent, but Gabriel said, nope, he didn't. The other Gabriel Williams said, if a professional in the industry likes a post of art you post on Instagram, is it weird to go to their account and like one of their posts after like 2 minutes?
That's awesome. Well, it's a little stalkerish, but it's okay. If it's a good post,
that's fine. I mean, I'm a child of divorce, so I mean, any attention is good for me. It's just like,
likes.
That's fine.
Everybody wants that.
Yeah, I don't know, gratification.
That's too funny.
You're all good.
How about this? Can it also happen that the studio? This is from Gabriel with a really cool last name. Can it also happen that the studio needs someone in a certain position and someone from the inside say, "Hey, about this artist I know"?
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Definitely.
That happens a lot. You know, and then that helps you push them through that process. I just like, well, I liked and disliked the times, but I just liked the part where like you still had to like perform, you know? So then when you know you got the job, it's like, cool. And then you met a lot of people because you interview with 15 people, you know, you go to lunch and you do a bunch of things. So I think studios do a good job of trying to harness that family community aspect. I think they do more of a good job now than even back in the day, because they realize that's what, you know, produces the best type of art, is when people get along and
totally
coming to work and they actually get true bonds with people, you know, for those instances.
Totally. I mean, I think like most companies even have like an incentive to recommend people, right?
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Internal recommendation. But I mean, obviously, you want to avoid like nepotism, right? So I mean, I think it's kind of where it kind of sucks. Just like you get like recommended for a job by your friend. You're like, yeah, I got this. It's like, but you still got to do the art test. It's like,
you still got to do this, buddy.
But because
that done.
Because like, dude, yeah, I can't. It's not a clubhouse, right? You're like, you still actually gotta do the job. So.
I still gotta see you do it. Yeah. And then if you recommend, you're like, yo, dog, do real good on that art test. I recommend.
Don't make me look like an asshole.
Because I would never recommend.
And then let's go even further down that road, because there's a lot of times that you might have a couple friends in that spot. You did the art test, you did good. You come in for the interview, you did well. They offer you a job. You come into work, and then you throw your feet on the table, and you think that you made it. Has that happened?
No, I mean, I've definitely had. I don't know if I've had that in particular, but I've definitely
hardcore.
Yeah. I mean. Yeah, I don't know. I just tickle the guy's feet or something. But
just read the DC comic.
Yeah, just what is this shit? This isn't who I hired.
I thought I knew him.
I don't need to tell you sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, I think there's definitely maybe it's better now since like students usually have a bit more access to like professionals and stuff. But I definitely think there's a like a barrier of entry. Like you kind of enter the atmosphere of the industry, and then you're like, shit, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, or like not in a bad way, but it's definitely like, oh, I got to make LODs. Like, yeah, you got to make LODs, you know. So I think maybe
make them right.
yeah. It's like, well, like unfortunately, this isn't your time for creative freedom. We get paid to do this, you know. So I think like that reality is a bit hard for some people. Yeah, but I don't think if anybody like put their feet up on the desk, man, I don't know what I would do. I just lose my shit.
There's a story I like to tell. When I was working at Leo Burnett, these guys, I was on the development team, and these guys got hired to be creatives. And so apparently that gives you the right to just walk in, be loud, and be obnoxious, because these two guys were sitting there. They had their feet up on the table. They were talking all loud, playing music and stuff. Really? And a few of us were walking by. We're like, yo, we're trying to concentrate. What the hell? And they're like, ooh, you know, had an attitude. So we went and told our boss. Our boss went over there and told them what the hell's going on. And then long story short, they went and talked to some very high-ranking person that got them the job there. And my boss got in trouble for telling these guys to knock it off, right? Mm-hmm. But then me, like in my boss, I walked by and I gave them, you know, I'm watching you. You better cut that shit out, because I'm overworked and stressed right now. I can lose my job. I'll see you in the streets. So they cut it off after a while, but yeah, man, they were being real assholes. And you can walk in there with that chip on your shoulder, but there's going to be a lot more people that don't want you acting that way.
Yeah.
And if the boss doesn't settle it, someone will.
Yeah, I think the best thing with those situations, and even for young artists going in, when you do get your job, is to come in humble as always, right? Not to and ask questions. You know, the best thing for you to do is to ask questions, because I think that's what a lot of junior artists don't do when they come in. They feel like they should know everything already. And they don't. So don't spin your wheels for 2 days on something when you can go over and ask your lead or something pretty quickly, and don't act like you know everything or trying to give out too many critiques and stuff like that. I know it doesn't happen often, but at the same time, there's always those people that are a little bit more hard-headed when they go through life, so they have to. So maybe if they hear this beforehand, know if you come in there being humble, you know, and ready to work, I think it'd be the best course of action. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
Especially in the game, because you're not going to know everything. So ask questions. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like maybe almost 2 types of people or something. I'm sure there's more than 2 types of people, but in this case, the point I'm trying to make, like you're saying, I guess like me, like when I left school and was trying to get in, like I didn't take feedback well at all. Mostly because I was sure that I was right, you know. So. You know, which kind of sucks. If I probably listened to people when I was younger, I might have, you know, gotten better quicker or something. But again, just didn't respond well. I got out of it. I think I'm pretty good. Like I'm decent at it now. I'm a professional about it now.
Sure.
But then on the other hand, I think I remember I haven't experienced this a lot, but definitely I have in portfolio reviews. Like I do them like voluntarily, like GDC and stuff like that. I think I think you guys have been teachers, right? Or is Charlie? Have you been? Okay. Yes. So I feel there's like this idea that if you do really well in class, that you are a great artist, and the idea that like, well, I'm top of my class, so I'm really good. So then I come to this like game convention and get my portfolio reviewed, and I think I've definitely met people that in their head it's like a shock to them that is like a more senior member of the industry is like, nah, dude, you gotta fix your shit. You know what I mean? Because like, I mean, obviously said better than that, but like, you know, it's like, hey, here's like all these things you gotta do, and just it's the first person to be like, nope, not good enough. You know, so I think there's like two different things about it. Like there's one that's not like a guy not listening to it. Then on the other hand, it's like a person who's never really had to hear it before. And yeah, I mean, I think it's harsh, right? So you probably like shut down when that's your first time, you know. And I think you just have to get used to it. But I think that, you know, like that's another part of education is you know, like peer review and like critique and actually having to deal with that. You know, it's again every day.
So much Monster says. I'm good, Gavin.
Yeah. Your mom don't know.
Your mom Joe, at work.
Joe, your mom doesn't know shit.
you know that was the biggest problem that I saw teaching too. Like people would get a chip on their shoulder if they at the different schools, and like you would have to say that like, well, I was a little different in my approach. Thank God I kept my job, but I kind of kept it where everyone was on the same level of suck in my class, so that they wouldn't overinflate their heads. And those that were really good, I was on a lot harder, so that to push them a lot harder. And but you still definitely have those ones that maybe got a good grade, you know, on an assignment, and then that next quarter you start to see them slack, you know, because they thought they were like, oh, I'm good, I got to handle this 3D.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, totally.
You know, so it was a constant reminder. Probably the most daunting part about if you ever teach, and anybody else that teaches out there can probably chime in if anybody teaches on the chat or anything, or have taught in the evenings, you know, keeping them at an even keel so they know that like, yo, there's people out there that are literally model circles around you guys. Like, and no, just because you got this one small section kind of right and kind of good doesn't mean it's like that. Because I definitely saw people in my college career that I graduated that thought they were really, really good. Or thought they'd be at a place that was really, really, you know, like A level, and maybe they were decent at best, you know. And some people like don't know how to take that critique. And the ones that like the ones that were just like kept grinding are always the ones that come out better in those situations. And sometimes it takes, you know, a GDC or something, or like a summit or something for somebody to say, yo, your stuff is mediocre, let's make it better, or you won't get that art test to even do it, you know.
I think just the exposure that you get if you go to GDC and SIGGRAPH is right around the corner, and go hang out and go see what people are doing and go see what companies are expecting. Feel free to take your portfolio and get beat up, because the more beat downs that you get today, those are beat downs that you don't have to take while you're looking for a job.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I was obsessively always online, you know, and back in the day, online wasn't even that good to be on, but like 3D Total, all these other sites. So that whole like, yo, I gotta go. Like CG Talk back in the day was amazing. It had some like killers on it every single day. So personally for me, that was a gut check, you know. And like I was like, none of y'all at school, I'm not seeing any of this in my classes I see on this screen here. So that was a personal gut check for me. And then all my buddies are kind of like the same way. So they're always like trying to push themselves harder. Now, obviously you rise to the top based on those things, but we knew that like being good at school doesn't mean anything. And I think, I don't know, millennials are hard to teach that, you know. It's so interesting that you brought that up, Gavin, because like it's so true, you know. And if they get the money to go out to these different places, you can just see their like world like crumble a little bit, and they just either just reject it or like
I mean, again, I don't even know if it's necessarily the student's problem, just because, you know, I think like teachers are put in a position of trust and authority, right? So, you know, I mean, if they suck, why wouldn't the teacher say so? You know what I mean? And if like they don't, you know, get their lumps or something that way, I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
yeah, it's just kind of how it is. So I mean, I think it's just which one is going to be the person to slap them with reality? Is it the volunteer at GDC, or is it the guy that they pay to do that? You know,
it was the most frustrating thing, especially if you have not the bash schools, but especially if you had other teachers that weren't on the same page. You know, and that's why I think it's so important to seek out, and I did this when I was in college, seek out people that were working in the industry. I mean, I didn't know what it was, but I knew that from a practical common sense standpoint when I was in school, all right, I got these 3 teachers that's teaching this class. One of them is just like a natural badass that's really good. The other one here he's been here for a while. The other one, oh yeah, he works at this place during the day. Yeah, I'm gonna go to that one, you know, you have some just good teachers, but then you have other ones that like take the time out of their evenings and go teach. I felt like, why not go to them, and go get under them so that they can tell you. And those are always the hardest, those are like, yo, your stuff sucks. That sucks. That sucks. You guys are lucky to get a C out of this class. So you better like, shout out to Brian McRae back in the day. And I was like, oh, this is real. This is what you're waiting on. But those teachers are few and far between, right? So,
and I think a lot of the teachers have this responsibility, but they get squelched by
upper management,
by the factory, where if they're a quality teacher, they're actively seeing what's possible, what's out there, what's being expected, but they're almost forced to push these kids through that aren't ready. And I've been at the tail end of kids' educational experience where now, as a career service advisor, I'm supposed to find jobs for these kids, and their demo reels are, hot trash in a box. How do you place those kids? They're not prepared. Whereas I mean, you do get a couple of the kids that spend the extra time and take their time and push real hard and try real hard to get this thing going. And then they, those guys are easy to place. And a lot of times they're placed even before they graduate. But it's those knuckleheads that, like, who was that? So Much Monsters. He said, but my mom says I'm good. Like, you know how tough it is to not only crush the dreams of the kid, but to crush the dreams of the parents who just got done paying that much money for that degree.
Yeah.
Right.
And the demo reel is just brutal to watch. And Charlie used to laugh because he'd walk around the corner, and if my door was closed, he knew someone was going to come out crying. I'd be like, you want to that? And that was always my first question. People would come in, hey, you want to take a look at my demo reel? Do you want me to be nice, or do you want me to tell you the truth? You want me to tell you the truth? Close the door. Let's get into it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to ask like a leading question or put you guys in a weird place or anything like that, but do you think there is pressure to pass kids that should be failed in order to make the school money?
Yes. Moving on.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too deep into it. I've been a student of an art school. I've been faculty at an art school. I've been, a graduate of an art school. I've seen it from, with the exception of being a full-time teacher. I've seen it from every angle, and because
it gets to the point where like either you have pressure from above. Thankfully, I was never put in this position because of the program chair I had, at the time, because I could fail whoever I want, and then I had like, I was so worried about being a really good teacher and making sure I had all my ducks in a row when I was teaching that I documented and kept everything, and like, you know, grading rubrics and all that good stuff. You know, outside of me just being an artist saying, no, that sucks, and I'm failing you because it sucks. I could say that, but I also have all the backup too. You know, go all the way up the chain if you want to compete at whatever, but I'm gonna win. But at the same time, yes, because everybody is not on the same page, especially if they're not working in the industry. That's the biggest thing I think that the schools can do a little bit better job of, you know. Because I was a young artist once at a game studio that I had free time in the evening before I had kids and, you know, married and everything, where I had time in the evening to do that stuff. I think there's a lot of people like that they should seek out those type of like artists and then help them learn to be really good teachers, because I think you can teach a artist, the right type of artist, to be a good teacher, and then that will benefit your students. But at the same time, sometimes it was the career teachers that were adjuncting at a bunch of different schools and having the rinse and repeat, you know, lesson plans and stuff like that when I got them in portfolio class, I'm like, I was in my professor's office a lot. Like, why did they pass that score? They stuff sucks. Like, why? I don't understand. What do you want me to do with him now in this class? Because he's going to fail. I'm not going to pass him. He's going to fail. Like, he's like, well, we work on him, like, you know, and it become like teaching them skills they should have had, knowing that, like, yo, you're not quite there yet, so you're probably going to take this class again, you know. So like, I think you need more real teachers like that. And maybe I just didn't have the fear of like dealing with upper management or whatever, because my program chair had my back because of my like 10 years of knowledge. I'm like, this is why I failed him, you know. And anybody else who passed him, we can go tit for tat. I would like you to pull out your, like, you know, your grading rubric, tell me why he passed, you know. But it never got to that point, you know, obviously, you know. But I think that's what it is. It's a mixture of both, and then a mixture of, like, you know, getting more students in them probably at other schools. The worser ones, I think, it's like what we said, the darker parts. But sometimes the teachers need to be teachers, need to be harder, you know. Like, the same, just because you're at an art school doesn't mean you can't hold your students to the same standard they was if they got into like MIT or Yale, right? You know, because that's not going to happen there, I feel. And maybe it does, but, you know, that's what
I doubt it, right? I mean, I think it's part of becoming a real job, you know, like a real industry, is that you need to start telling people that they're not able to do the job,
right?
You know, so you end up just shitting out a bunch of kids out of school that think that they can do it, and if they just keep trying, it'll happen. But man, it's just not for everybody, you know. And I don't want to sound like a negative Nancy or anything like that, but some people just don't get it, man. It's the same as like, I can't play guitar. I really want to play guitar. I've tried multiple times.
How about this? For as much fun as I think it might be, I don't know if I would let me remove my liver.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Not everyone is built to do that.
And then even getting in, like you said earlier, Gavin, even getting in, I can remember sitting at my desk at EA, like, after, like, you know, a month in, I'm like, whoo, this is kind of hard.
Yeah.
You know? And like, literally said it to myself while listening to, like, headphones on, like, little challenging, Charlie. What did you sign up for? Okay, let's just do this. Let's roll with the punches, you know? Like, because I think every artist has that when they finally get their job. You know, they're like, ooh, a lot more technical than I thought it would be. So why pass those students that are not technical minded, or they're not hitting the art work at a point that needs to be there? Because it's so technical. And I think game art, I put game artists at such a high pedestal, you know, in general, even if we talk about ones we like. You know, the you know, people like the So Much Monsters and all those other dudes, like, they're really up there. See what I did there? See what I did there? Yeah, you know, and the Gavins and all those guys. See what I did there? You know, but no, seriously, if you think about it, like, to create this art at a high level, right? You know, and to create it and look good, optimized. It's sometimes, like, even people in other industries don't understand, like, how hard it is to do that. You know, they just see the end products. You know, it's more than just making games. It's, like, really hard to hit those marks. There's a lot of technical things that goes into making stuff look that way.
Dude, I mean, I think that's a lot of the portfolio is just full of great sculpts too. Like I was saying earlier, I mean, people see these artists that they love getting like top row in Zebra Central and like Art State Tournament, and they're looking at like the final thing, right? And they're like, oh man, I want to sculpt Nathan Drake, I want to sculpt like Galahad and things like that, and that's all they do, but they don't realize that that's like 30% of the job, and it's just not how it works, right? You're looking at like the success, and not like the tons and tons of work, and like everyone's gonna wash the dishes, I guess is what the rule is, right?
Exactly. No, but
you gotta do it. I don't know.
Yeah. You know how hard it is to make a normal map look good when you first learn how to do it?
Yeah.
Like it's not it's not that easy. And it's like there's pages and pages on Polycount on that one section of it. And that's why I tell students, good, you got something to look decent. Now go and do that same one on a curve, and then come back.
I don't know when you started, but like my first 3D job was right after I think Prey came out with the original, like a long time ago, Prey, and Quake 4. I think it was 2004.
I started in 06. I started my game job in 06.
Yeah, I think it was like 2004, 2005.
Okay.
And
they
had like this little art book that they sent out with the game, and I think Quake 4 had these really high poly models that they did too. But it was like before like ZBrush was like a huge thing too. So at that time, like people were just like trying to wrap their head around like, how do you make a normal map? And, like people are like hand painting them and stuff. Right. You just have like all these crazy shit, and it's like, man, like looking back on it, that's like
Photoshop.
Yeah, I think that was like the end of like a Wild West kind of thing, right? Where it's like, I don't know, just like you model it out and then you like kind of bake it down. It's like, yeah, but like its shades all weird and stuff. It's like, that's just how it is. It's like
it didn't work. My model's black. You know what? I'm just gonna paint it. Yeah, the artists have started to rebel. I'm just gonna paint it in. It'll look good.
I'm just gonna smudge it out. That's fine.
You had those guys that like what's his name? I'm gonna butcher his name. Pierre Ober, or there's like painting faces that were like amazing on like Quake models back in the day and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just like
quick little shout out to Colin Moore. He's been trying to get everyone's attention to say hi to Gavin.
Hello,
Spider-Man. Yeah,
congrats on Spider-Man.
We actually worked together at Irrational. So yeah, I know.
Awesome.
Like we were saying before the show, it's like
6 degrees of separation. Like that right now.
So I have my spies everywhere.
Right.
Always watching.
And Gavin was, and like I've never met Gavin beforehand at all. I have his work in my favorites, but I've never met him. And then he was like, "Yo, so what's your story?" I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I give him my rundown. Then I mentioned that I worked at High Voltage, and Gavin was like, "Oh,
sorry about that."
What you call it. Hey, stop it.
You know what I'm talking about.
I was like,
"Come on now."
Yeah, and Spencer. I was like, "Yeah." I'm like, it never fails. And this show showed me a bunch of times, like people I don't think I'll have anything in common with. It's a small industry too, so that's another thing to be said too.
Yeah, it really is. I mean,
studios that span the whole country, it's still the same amount of people that have worked together at some point or another. So it's interesting.
And I think that's a perfect segue to. It's a small industry. We're talking about demo reels. And that popped up, and when you said High Voltage, that popped in a story in my head. Yeah, Wes, HVS, yeah. There's a guy that I went to school with. This was back when in our school you had a shared drive, so everyone was able to save their stuff on a server, but it wasn't secure. It's not like everyone had their own login information. So this guy went through and started collecting other people's models and other people's demo reel items put it all together in a nice demo reel, handed it to High Voltage. They hired him, obviously, because he had nothing but fire on this demo reel. Only to find out, and he's probably one of those guys that walked in with a chip on his shoulder, threw his feet up on the table. They're like, okay, here, do this. And he couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think he lasted all of half a week.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have a conversation about that. Let's talk about other people's stuff on your demo reel.
I've actually had, I mean, I can't get a lot into it because of,
Sure.
I guess it's not cool to do it, but I've actually had people apply to my company on my team with my stuff in their portfolio. Yes. Yeah.
Those are the best stories.
Yeah. So I thought like, so I'm looking at it. I knew like, because I basically, again, I don't get filters. So I see all the names and I see their name. I'm like, huh, we used to work together, years and years ago.
Oh,
And I'm like, maybe, I don't know, let's see what they got. I mean, I'd work with them again, And yeah, dude, sure enough, like I opened it up and it's just it's my work. And it's not even that gray area of working on games where you're like, okay, well, I made it, but then they kind of fix some stuff and whatever, right? This is like straight up, like you took stuff from my portfolio, put it in yours, took my name out, and then applied to work on my team. You know what I mean?
Did you know it was your team?
I got a benefit of the doubt. I got to hope not. I assume no.
Yo, that's ridiculous because that's like some industry like under the guise of like, oh, I was a finishing artist on that part,
Mm-hmm.
like
yeah.
But to have it, oh, that's
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah. So obviously, being the gentleman that I am, I had to take the high road and just decline them quietly and not do anything. But the urge just to like put them through like an art test for like weeks, and then like just give them a phone interview, and then like it's me. It's just like it's me like just on Skype, just like this, and just waiting for them to answer the phone.
No. Tell them we want to interview you. But you have to fly yourself out.
yeah.
And then have them there. And then, oh yeah, just go ahead and check in with security.
Yeah.
And then security hands them a little note and it's a middle finger.
Yeah. The doors are just locked. We're just not there. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like that's I guess to get back to the point, not my weird segue, but I mean, that is pretty much why we do tests. Like that's why, like, I mean, my team does them, and it has to be the way it works is that it's like everybody has to do it. Like if one person does it, everybody has to do it, and if we don't have a test, then nobody does it, right? Like you can't.
Yeah.
I guess you can't discriminate, kind of thing. So
why did I have a test and then you didn't have a test when you got it yet?
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, I get it. I've done tests like for like every job I've had, pretty much, right? And it's a pain in the ass, dude. It's basically free work. But then you get people like if it's all based on the portfolio and people can walk the walk or talk the talk, I suppose, not walk the walk. Yeah, I mean, if they know how to interview well and it looks like they can do the job and they show up, it's like, dude, you just wasted like so much time and money on this asshole that can't do the job, Yeah. So that's why. I mean, that's why they exist, unfortunately.
And if you want to shit all over your career, that's a really good way to do it.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That's a really good way. You think the industry is small? Go ahead and steal other people's stuff and try to pass it off as your own. All of a sudden, that world gets super small to the point where there's no doors, no windows, no one's letting you in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't think I'll just fake it. Or even if you're our industry guy that's already in there and you, like in this case he's talking about, and you say, I know my skill set, this will just help me get in a little bit better. No, because in my head, I would never do that because that stuff is still lingering out there. That demo you turned in, it's still lingering out there. If you put it up on the web, God forbid if you put it up on the web, as your name is still out there. We just talked about this last week with another famous 3D modeler got his stuff swiped that I saw here in Chicago on a band's poster and stuff like that. And first time in my like 20 years of being an artist, I like felt the need to like email the band like, yo, that's not you guys' stuff. And come to find out, they hired this like graphic designer and they did a cool filter over it. And
this wasn't Kurt, was it?
Huh? What?
Who was the artist?
This was it was a Brazilian artist. It's the artist that had the chick astronaut profile that came out like last year. I don't know if you've seen it. Like she had a black uniform on with the white helmet. Mm-hmm. Some artists put basically like an Instagram type filter over.
Oh wow! No, one of my I can't remember.
Saved it.
I think I might be confusing one of the two, but one of my friends had that just happen to him too. They basically had like this monster, and a graphic designer that the band hired took the monster, and it's like this like death metal band, so it's just like zombies and shit all over the place. But it's like his art basically just like clone stamped. Like
exactly. That's what happened.
Sucks, man.
This guy
one of the funny stories, one of the funny stories that happened to one of the regular members of Sketch Zone, Jack.
Oh yeah.
He draws. He's a whatever. He works at DreamWorks. Whatever. Love you, Jack. But he had some artwork on his personal website, and there was a company in Germany that took one of his drawings and they did this whole branding thing for their design company, stealing his artwork. This whole company was decked out in his drawing, and it was someone that was surfing the internet saw this company and all their branding and stuff, and they recognized his work, and they reached out to him and said, yo, look at this site. And I mean, the whole thing was based off of his artwork. Bananas.
Crazy.
So if you think yet again, if you think the gaming community, the art community, the world is small, it's super small. Mm-hmm. Some random little tiny design company in Germany, someone saw their stuff and reached out to Jack because they recognized it. Mm-hmm. And then he went on, and I'm not exactly sure what's happening with that story, but but yeah,
so tragic. I mean, they were the band in my instance was very appreciative of me reaching out. I think one of the guys worked in a tattoo shop, so he understood the part of people getting their stuff stolen. They didn't know they were going to contact the actual artist who made it. They're out like $500 and all this other stuff. They helped them place their single and all this other stuff. So you feel bad. You're like, man.
And that's why you have to.
He just Instagram filtered you for $500.
and you have to be careful. Whatever you're putting out online, unfortunately, you have to be prepared for it to be stolen.
Yeah.
So don't be putting out there stuff that I don't know, you have plans for, I guess, or that's a little bit more important than just whatever. Mm-hmm. And that reminds me that Gabriel had said earlier, the best class, and he goes, my ego got inflated until I got into ArtStation. So that's what it was. We were talking about, mothers enjoying your artwork, and not many moms are art directors in the game industry. Not that there aren't any moms, but if you're 40 something, mm-hmm. I don't know if your mom is still art directing for Insomniac. I don't know.
The art director doesn't need to love you unconditionally,
That's why he got the job.
Yeah, exactly.
Art director loves me. She loves me. But it's a
so good.
Cool.
Yeah. What time is it? 10:40. I guess right now is a good time for this or that. So, Gavin, there's this little game that we like to play. It's we call it this or that. I'll ask you a question. If you feel like expanding on it, feel free. If not, we can just keep it nice and simple.
Okay.
Let's see. Do you like to sculpt or model?
Sculpt. Definitely. I think my modeling days are long gone. I've been known to turn a few heads.
What do you mean? You're not box modeling anymore?
No, he's underwear modeling.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I'm literally turning heads. I mean, I'm rotating heads and spins.
Nice.
But yeah, I think because now, like the way that my workflow is evolved, is that my modeling is really like I'm just doing base modeling and then sculpting a lot, and then doing the retopo of the or retopo, depending on how you want to say it.
Oh,
but
depends on if you're from Canada or not.
Yeah. Yeah, or doing the like low poly modeling. So it's really there's not like a lot of joy in it for me because you're not really making stuff. You just kind of it's into a means, I guess. But yeah.
One of the things that I noticed when we were flipping through your artwork on ArtStation is your lighting can get quite dramatic.
Oh yeah.
Is that something that people should practice on demo reels and art samples?
Yeah. I mean, I think just in general having like a good eye for presentation is good. Mm-hmm. I think like for some of my stuff, maybe I go a bit too much. I think I watched like I don't know Grindhouse a few too many times or something. but
why does his demo reel have saw blades everywhere?
Yeah, the saw blades and film grain. So I don't know, but an awesome soundtrack, so good. But yeah, I mean, I think it's important. I really enjoy lighting. I like being able to kind of put the final touches on like what I've been working on. It really helps set the mood and stuff like that too. So, but yeah, I mean, just generally kind of shows that you're putting in the extra effort. Like not only can you model and texture, like you also want to show your stuff the best way you possibly can. Yeah.
Cool. Let's see. Speaking of which, do you prefer demo reels or online presence?
So online presence like ArtStation or online presence like Twitter?
Either or.
Oh shit.
Either or.
I really hate demo reels. So much so that I
wrote an article.
I wrote a 5,000 word essay on about it. I've almost written the book on why I hate demo reels. That's tough, but I think I mean, absolutely, like hands, like 1,000 hands down, ArtStation over demo reel. I mean, obviously, I mean, with Twitter, I mean, it depends. I mean, like if you're just like posting about, I don't know, whatever, like whatever you have for, for Trump, about Trump, or like what you have for dinner or something. I guess a demo reel's better. I mean, it's still like,
no,
I don't know.
Not for that.
Yeah, Shane Olson said, I love that article. So good. Yeah, it was, we had if you go back last week, that's how we actually met Gavin, was we talked about that last week. And he watched the show and reached out. So that's why he's here. Hashtag networking. Crap. I said all that. And my next question was so good. Oh, if you, let's say you are on Twitter and everything, have you ever hired anyone based off of food selfies?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I just wanted to make that clear. There's people asking.
No.
People asking.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to come clean. It was me. I wanted to.
I had this really good lunch yesterday, yo.
Yeah.
What about that hot dog dough? All right. So now that we had the conversation about online presence and everything, would you rather? And this doesn't even have to be professional. This is just your preference.
Mm-hmm.
ArtStation or Instagram?
Oh, ArtStation.
ArtStation.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all over social media again. I'm an attention junkie, it seems. But,
why do you think we started a show?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like Instagram, but it's just it's not a portfolio. I mean, it's like it's cool to look at it, and I enjoy just like flipping through and seeing like what my friends are up to and stuff like that, or whatever. But I mean, ArtStation is like the portfolio side. Yeah.
Gabriel asked, "What if Food Selfie has good lighting?"
I appreciate good lighting in all forms.
So weird.
But
Now, mind you,
there's not even a character in any of that. I can't hire unless you put, I guess, mashed potatoes as like a character. I don't know.
Or I mean, you can take a really well lit food selfie and then like incorporate 3D geometry around it or in the scene and match the lighting. I'm just throwing that out there. It's possible. It's all of those photos that you have on your phone can be useful.
Yo, shut up.
Anything's possible, dude. Just sculpt a character out of food, light it real well, put it in a demo reel on a Wix website, and just send it to every company ever.
Yeah,
he said it on a Wix. He said Wix.
Like someone might have modeled like just a real crazy cool Sasquatch, and you drop that bad boy in front of a salad, and you're
it says sausage Sasquatch.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm like getting hungry or if I want to hire this person.
That person has really good lunch picking.
Yeah, let's just say it'll be a lunch interview. That's
the person on Instagram every day can be like this. And he starts pinpointing artists at different companies. Yo, your lunch can look this good every day. Like
that might be how HR people are looking for reasons to kick people out of the running. Food selfies might be something to pull you back in, because how many times has this happened? You're working and it's lunchtime and you ask, yo, what are we going to do for lunch? And 50 minutes later, people are like, let's just go to Taco Bell. Right. That happens all the time.
But if you had food selfie guy,
you have decision-making powers.
You're a doer. You're a winner. Right? Like this guy has sandwich photos as far as the eye can see.
Can you
character art?
For the record, if you are hired off of food selfies, and Gabriel said, I'm getting my phone pictures on ArtStation. Thanks, guys, for the tip. If you are hired because of your food selfies and the Sasquatch and all the characters around that sandwich, and then we start working together, and then it's lunchtime, and everyone is looking around, and they say, hey, what are we going to do for lunch? And you say Subway, you're fired.
You're done.
Yeah. How crazy. You just turn to the page, turn to the desk next to you, and food selfie guy's got his sunglasses on. This is my time to shine. 12 to 1. I got you covered. He has 4 options for you.
Hey, Gabriel, yes, a food demo reel would be good, but you'd have to sculpt everything on your plate.
Yeah, the food. If the food's moving, it's fine.
It's rotating. It's
cool. All right, so let's move on to gaming.
Okay.
Do you actually play the campaign, or you just jump right into the PvP stuff?
I do. I'm, I guess, what you would call an antisocial gamer. So I definitely like the campaign.
Player only.
Yeah, I do. The exception to my multiplayer stuff is Battlefield, because I really enjoy playing a medic. I don't know why, but I have this like any shooter that's like class
It's
based.
because you're Canadian.
Yeah, exactly. I want to help. I just want to help.
Serious?
Yeah. So I just like yes. So like I'm telling you, dude. Like I get more satisfaction out of running around and like reviving people. Just like when I know like they've given up. You know what I mean? And they're laying on the ground. And they're like, God damn it. Yeah. Or they're like raging, like, oh man, like one more shot, like boop, and like bring them back, and they're like, and they get up and like run over and do their thing. Or like
Gavin's character is the only one that runs around with a tourniquet.
Yeah, exactly.
He's upgrading all his medical stuff first.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Well, dude,
create the battlefield. He actually has all the guns because he's doing doing so much teamwork.
Yes. So
that's hilarious.
My battlefield guy had like all of his medic gear just like stacked immediately, and I'm still like I got like a how do you say like Mondragoon or Mondragon or something, but just like a bolt action. It's like I don't need this. Like I wish there was a way. I wish there was a way that I could. I wish there was a crafting part, because if I could like get the gun and then put a syringe at the bottom of the gun so I can like stab people with my syringe and bring them back to life, that would be perfect.
You want the Overwatch character.
So if I could long range revive people,
you actually want the Overwatch character Ana in Battlefield.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
Gives health to characters, debuffs to enemies.
Yeah, it's perfect.
That's funny.
But yeah, other than that, I'm pretty much single
When you
player.
said crafts, I think that's what you said.
Crafting.
Yeah. For some reason, my brain went to there's bombs going off all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
There's like bullets flying, and you in the corner with like needle and yarn, and you're like knitting people some socks and stuff.
You guys are gonna be thanking me later. You know?
Oh, your feet must be cold. Here's a sock.
Everyone needs clean socks. I mean, you're running around in like World War I France with like wet boots.
And you know it's dirty.
And who comes in? Me. I got new socks for you.
And you know what?
You're welcome, my guys.
When you end up leaving like the game or whatever, like Charlie and I talked about this last week, where it's 2:00 in the morning, it's time to go to bed, and you log off. That's when everyone's going to be shooting around and doing all kinds of stuff, and they're going to look around and say, hey man, I really need some socks.
Yeah,
they're going to miss you when you're gone.
That's like, I swear, because I not only do I love playing a medic, I judge other medic skills. So like when I'm playing and I get shot, and I flop over and I'm waiting for a medic to come, and they run by me and I can see their like the distance from my body. I'm like, you suck. Like you'll never be the medic that I am, And I'm hoping that like once I'm gone, they just totally they miss me.
Cool. So this just in from the chat. Shane Olson has a question. So the question is as follows: what would you say the percentage of sculptors that actually do the character design while sculpting versus modeling someone else's design? Professional, not personal stuff.
Oh, it's like at work, like at the
what's the percentage of sculptors that actually do the character design while sculpting versus someone who just models a design and give it to them?
So I think it depends on I know it's a stupid answer, but it depends on the title. I mean, for us, because we're working on a Marvel game, we don't get a lot of I guess freedom to like make up stuff because it infringes on their IP. So you got to you go through the process, you do the concept, and then you do that or whatever. For more minor enemies, there's a lot more control in the character art team to concept it out. On the previous title, Sunset Overdrive, we had a lot of control over that and would make up like a lot of the gear and stuff. Same actually on Infinite as well, because it was on like Bioshock, since it was a smaller team. We got to make up like quite a bit of of stuff just because we're there and we're with like the creative directors. So it's just quicker at that point to sculpt something up and do it. But I think it depends on how your deal with like the publisher and stuff like that is too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
And would you say based on that question, real quick, sorry, Carlos, would you say based on that then, for people that are coming in or students and stuff like that, is it better for them to go out and find really good concept that's there and model that per se than coming up with their own designs? Like
in their like if they're
on their portfolio websites, let's start calling it that instead of Dimmerl, but yeah, on their portfolio sites.
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
like what do you look for?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it doesn't matter to me. It's nice to be able to see somebody's taste. You know what I mean? So like if they're making up the design themselves, it's kind of good to see what they would do given left to their own devices.
Mm-hmm.
And like the other problem with just following a concept is that there's a lot of times you have to make shit up at work. So like if you can't fill in the blanks and like every time there's like not a back view or there's not like a cutaway on this stuff, you need a guy to spend like a week designing this stuff for you. Like that's bad. I mean, you should be able to like kind of like ad-lib a bit. But I mean, overall, it doesn't matter. I mean, good work's good work, right? But I mean, I personally prefer, I guess, showing problem solving a bit and just kind of making it up on your own. I mean, that's what I do. Like, I don't really follow people's concepts for my personal stuff. Yeah.
Well, on that topic, we've talked about this a couple times, and people generally ask us, do you think being able to draw is necessary for trying to get 3D work?
What was that? Sorry.
Do you think the ability to draw helps land 3D work?
I mean, I think there's definitely like fundamental skills that play into it, right? I mean, I don't think I would. I mean, I don't think a lot of I don't think I've ever really worked at a place where a character artist had to draw. Like, I don't think it's like a skill that you use actively. But I mean, I think being able to draw helps, helps your 3D eventually. I mean, for me, I went from like 2D into like clay, and like for me, clay makes more sense. So that kind of translates a bit quicker for me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think there's no argument, right? I mean, some foundational skills help, even though I was like, adamantly against it when I was younger and stuff. Like it helps, right? For sure.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I do think it gives you an advantage. You don't need to be able to draw to be a great 3D artist, but it does give you an advantage. And I always wondered that myself as an artist myself. Always drawing and stuff like that. But at the same time, even when I started teaching, I did see a considerable advantage over those who could draw to those who didn't draw. Like sometimes if both of them didn't know any programs and they picked it up at the same time and went through school at the same time, a lot of times the level of creativity or the level of them being able to pick it up a little faster, and it could have been the individual students, but I kept seeing if they had some drawing skills, they were able to translate a little bit better in terms of creativity, the way they're thinking. And I don't know how to quantify that without doing what you're doing with creating your graphs and stuff like that over a large span of time. I would have kept doing that to solidify that notion, but over 5 years I kept seeing it, from different schools that I would visit or talk at and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think like drawing on its own, again, like any traditional skills, really, you're already, I guess probably the reason why like the students that had that excelled is that they're already crossing this like threshold, right? So they're already figuring out, like, for us, it would be like anatomy and like composition and stuff like that. So they're already kind of like wrapping their head around it. So then once they get into 3D, it's like, oh, I'm just gonna take what I learned and just like apply it here. So all I have to do is start learning the program and do that, right? And Whereas like if you're learning like everything, it's like, man, I went from like stick figures to, now I'm like actually trying to like show ideas on 2D. It's like, oh fuck, now I got to do it on 3D too. It's like, it's so they're already kind of a step ahead, even if it is kind of a more it's like a minor step. It's still like a fundamental thing that it does translate for sure.
And you can even think at the pro level too, right, Carlos? When we talk to guys in the film industry, if you do your history, on when 3D became big, look at how many, animators and film guys who had to learn 3D in the evening time, in their spare time. We've had a couple people on the show who talk about, taking their time in the evening times back when 2D was going out for a while, and 3D animation came in. All these guys are used to flipping paper and drawing, had to learn that 3D software. And if they can learn it at like, 30, 40, 45, whatever, they had already been working for 10, 20 years. That's another, I use that as another fact to say that, there's something there. Because if the guys at Disney can do it, if the guys at wherever can do it, then,
Good. Sorry if you guys have talked about this already. You probably brought it up before, but if you've seen, have you seen Rick Baker's ZBrush work? Dude, like that, like he's already like I'm like a horror buff, obviously, or nerd, I guess I wouldn't say a buff, but love horror. And like Rick Baker is like one of my favorite artists of all time. And to see him like, I guess like in an older age, after like decades and decades of like, practical work, and just like picks up ZBrush, just like boom, just like destroys. It's like oh my god, it's so good. It's like I don't know, just when you thought the digital barrier would hold him back, it's like he just
makes
up, that puts me to shame.
Just doing iconic work, like it's like, oh cool.
It's like, oh yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I just learned this thing last weekend and kind of made this. It's like, oh, yeah. And I remember when he first started posting, and he's doing like, I think like kind of Rick Bakery stuff, and his name was Rick Baker, and I'm like, there's no way that's Rick Baker. Like there's no way, right? It's just a guy. It's like me, but with like less shame. You know what I mean? So they're like, no, I'll call myself Rick Baker. You know what I mean? Like that's what I assumed, and he got like better quickly, right? And it's like, wow, that's insane.
And in my head, I'm like, ZBrush is one of the most weirdest like interfaces. Like I'm trying to be Apple, but worse.
Yeah.
In the world. So I'm thinking this dude that only draws, he's gonna be like this newfangled web weird stuff. I can't do it. No,
dude, like, so many people do that, right? I mean, they hit like the wall, and they're just like, no, I can't. Why would I do this? Don't you know who I am? I'm Rick Baker. Like I made practical effects. Like, what do you want? You know what I mean? Dude, no, it's just like, wow, okay, and just blows it away, man. So good. Just like he's a legend, dude. Great, so good. Yeah.
Last one for me.
Cool.
This is going to be this or that or even that. Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, or Tom Holland.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen the new one, right? So I can't say. So I don't want to go Tobey, man. It's hard to like. So I think look-wise, hear me out on this one. Like look-wise, Tobey is a good Peter Parker, right? Right, Charlie?
I would say no.
Come on.
I would say no. I always thought he looked too old.
This is the problem: is that knowing what we know about how Spider-Man 3 went down, we can't in any way. We can't in any way say Tobey, right?
Right.
So I mean, it's like I like Tobey. I didn't hate the first. Like I think if the first one just existed and nothing else came,
like the emo hair come over.
Yeah. It's like if there's no, and dude, like I'm such like, as you can guess from everything else that like Venom is like such an important part of my life. So like
Okay, yeah.
like to shoehorn that in and just be like, that's Venom. It's like, no,
There he is,
no,
guys.
God, no. So I can't. It's like, you know,
Yeah.
when you eat too much of something and you throw it up and you can't ever like not associate
Yeah.
throwing up with that food. Tobey Maguire. Well, Venom is why I threw up, and then I can't think of Tobey without being like, oh, Venom. Oh shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I forgot about Venom. I don't even think
Yeah.
about Venom.
Oh, dude.
Yo, I didn't. I kept forgetting they put that in there and how much flack they got for throwing that in there and then not finishing.
Yeah, no,
that's how they
do
do
that.
them. Okay,
that cut me deep, dude. But yeah, I can't get past the emo-y part, so I can't say it knowing what I know now.
Yeah.
Right. But so all things considered, I'd probably go Tom Holland, even though I haven't seen him.
Well,
I have high hopes.
Here's a silver lining, right?
Mm-hmm.
The last one they just made with that other guy,
Garfield.
Tom Holland.
No, the other one.
Oh,
Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, I would have said, okay, if he did those first ones, we probably would have been okay.
Mm-hmm.
I feel they could have did Jamie Foxx's thing a little bit better. I was like, I feel bad for Jamie Foxx. Like, yo, that was not a good rendition. I don't know what designer designed that cinematic version of Electro, but
hey, let me toss this in here real quick, because I completely agree with you with the caliber of a Jamie Foxx. You basically gave him the same powers as, who was it? The I think it was the Tick had a sidekick that was wrapped in carpeting, and his superpower was like he'd rub himself and shock things. Like you made.
Well, yeah, Electro was a cool character. It's just that
no,
it's just too blue. No, in the comics, it just was a weird cinematic version. It's like it's like the bad Batman that we don't talk about with with what you call it as Batman, and he gave him nipples on his thing, or everything was too bright.
Not Val Kilmer, but the other
was that Clooney?
Clooney. Like that whole thing we just kind of don't talk about. No one talks about it.
So just to play devil's advocate and not trying to be the Marvel fanboy that I am, but don't you appreciate the campiness of the Clooney Batman though? Like just a little bit.
A little bit. When you watch it now, we don't talk about it, but when you watch it, you're like, ooh, nostalgia.
Right?
No, you watch it, you're like, ooh, did that just happen?
Yeah, so who thought this was okay?
Yeah. It's just but I just yell out
the Dark Knight, what's he gonna do? Get milked? Like what you have a bulletproof vest. What in God's name are nipples going to do on your bulletproof outfit?
Yeah, it's in the westerns when they have like the Bible in their pocket or whatever, and that's what protects them from the gunshots.
Oh yeah,
nipples.
It's the extra bullet. The bullet would be lodged in the nipple.
Right.
Oh, I take it all back. That might be the best. That might be the best Batman yet.
Yeah. Yeah, Bruce Wayne has incredibly sensitive nipples. Weak spot.
Yeah.
Gotta protect it.
Gotta protect it.
On the off chance that you hit that, 4 centimeter disc of armor.
The nipples have officially saved the movie.
Yeah, it is.
It's all about the nipples, honestly. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you watched it for.
Why he watched it. Cool.
All right, so that was this or that. So now this is a segment of the show where we bring a little bit of light upon some folks that we have been cyber stalking. And for me, I am going to share with you a young artist by the name of Bofanglin. Apparently he's a lefty, an illustrator, and a future Torontonian. But I like his artwork. He's very consistent in his subject. He draws very pretty girls, which is not a bad thing. But his rendering skills are pretty dope. Oh, and apparently he's got a Patreon. Not really sure what that's all about. I haven't stalked him that deeply, but yeah, like his rendering skills are
on point.
quite dope. And you know me, I'm a 2D fiend. So yeah, he just handles skin as that one there looks absolutely real. The guy holding up a thing there. Just kidding. That's a look at this is what Wendy would look like if she wasn't racist.
I mean, if she was like mixed.
Yeah, if she was, what's the word that no one's allowed to use anymore? Mulatto. If she was mulatto.
Oh, is that another thing?
Yeah, I think that's a no these days, unless of course you're mixed, which whatever.
Let's see here. I have.
So and looks like he gets down traditionally too. So that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, there you go.
So he does caricatures and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That girl there. Whoa. Yeah, he's got a Cintiq too. I wonder if it's the 32-inch. No, because they only announced it. We've kind of done that on this show before, where we announced Joe Mad was coming on the show.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, "What? Like he's coming on the show?" I was like, "Well, yeah, eventually, but I don't know when." Like Wacom just did that with the 32-inch Cintiq.
I just want to show you, we do have something new, just not given to you yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, check him out. It's Instagram.com/BOFENGLIN.
Cool.
Bofenglin.
All right. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Boom. All right. So this week, in honor of having a character artist on, I went and found out a character artist. One of my favorites, Oliver Kustin. Yeah. I love this dude's art. And then I have one other like surprise thing, a throwback one for you guys. But let's check this guy's stuff out. He's got a good mix of like stylized and more realism type stuff, but I just like his style overall. Really cool site, great example of a great site to have. This site is actually, I went a little bit different. I didn't go to the ArtStation profile because he does have one of those. I actually am showing off his ArtStation Pro website, so you can get your ArtStation, all you aspiring artists out there. You can have a awesome, profile page, which obviously you can use that also. But you can also, if you need to take a step further and show some individuality, you can have your own site too. And then, even Carlos has spoke about how it's easy to get a domain name for pennies and point it towards your page and stuff like that. So you can have your own web presence really easily. It has all the really good things of the social networking, the Facebook, the Pinterest, the LinkedIn, which is a really good one too if you're looking to get a job. But let's check out some of his work. So it's got cool breakdowns on his page here. You also, we'll go back to the gallery page. I'll just do here. And then, I love I love when he gets to his stylized stuff and the stuff he's done with hair and stuff like that too. It's like really, really awesome. Really good work. Cool.
Yeah, that last one looked like maybe a little Photoshop action, but it wasn't. It was 3D.
Yeah, it was 3D. It's like
dope.
Really cool. Let's see. Let's give you an overview now here. There you go. His Mercury one was really good too. He did this for a friend because if you go to the page, this one's done for like a music video also. So that was kind of cool. Showing some of his little work he does on the side, outside of just the regular character stuff. He has this really cool style with these like stitched together vegetables and stuff. I had to go with this one too. I was like, sweet, this is gonna go good with my artist inspiration.
You see?
Because the food art is real.
What is it?
Like that one.
FFTW, food for the win.
Yeah, there you go. So now I know Gavin's got this dude on his radar now.
I'm like, oh.
Then one of my favorite ones.
Maddie's a vegetarian too. It's great.
he doesn't have the Bruce Wayne. His Bruce Wayne is pretty badass and a little emo too with the eye makeup.
Check the nipples.
Oh, he's good, no nipples. But my favorite one,
that's, your opinion.
I love, like, I know it's cool because he's getting into the sculptor stuff, and I know a lot of students fall into this like trap of like having all modeled stuff, and like again, I think that's more of a film thing, but he still shows you he has it all textured, right? So don't stop here, right? You can have an amazing model, but let's go ahead and give it some life and texture it up, because look at this. I think this is an awesome piece when it's all said and done,
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference between pro and not pro yet. He goes through it, and it's real easy to have a full page of just this stuff, but I think if you want to work in games, you have to show the extra stuff. And I think he has enough stuff on here, and this is all really good too, but he has enough stuff on here where he can texture this stuff up too if he had to, and boom, he shows it too. So it's really cool. It's a really good treat to keep scrolling down and then get to see what this stuff looks like.
Foot Locker, get it?
You got it. Mm-hmm. It's really cool. And some of this stuff I'm looking at for the first time because I didn't go through his whole site today, but like it's really cool stuff. Look at this in honor of Spider-Man.
Yeah,
this is something I modeled for the trailer of the video game Spider-Man Friends and Foes. So
cool.
Do we have any friends that worked on that game?
I don't know. I don't remember who did this one. All in due time. Last thing, and I'm done. He did Daft Punk and made Daft Punk awesome.
Oh, hell yeah.
Look at this. I always thought somebody should make a Cartoon Network After Dark like series off of these.
Zoom in on that visor.
Which one? Here?
That one, yeah.
It just says kill.
Yeah. That's so wonderful.
It's cool. Even like this, even added like putting a little bit of the texture there, Look at this. This is so awesome.
Yeah.
This is like, harking back to what we talked about earlier with the lighting and stuff, It's just like really cool. There it is. Old school Maya stuff. There it is.
Cool.
And then Carlos, we had a guy that we had on way back before we got into the hundreds.
Mm-hmm.
I think you really liked his work, and he was this guy. Remember Soren or Gilberto Zaragaza, whatever.
Zaragoza.
Yeah, thank you. You see, you did it back then too. This is some of his new work, I know I'm feeling Jack, but like, remember, I think it was like our first show he did. Remember, you spoke about these guys here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like his new stuff that he's been putting out, is so like it's in still frame, but it's so cinematic that now he's doing. These characters are part of his own IP that he's developed.
That just looks real.
And it's just a model. Yeah, it's crazy. Like
in a scary, creepy way.
Mm-hmm. Right? This one was called like Orion or something like that. Then it was also with like the Three Marys. So I think it's three of those chicks, Like it's just really cool, kind of scary, but like it's the same style. And I just wanted to show this real quick because we talked about his work back when he only had like a couple. It was real when he just had those two twins. I think we were.
This reminds me of Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh yeah. but it's like that's the freakiest model I've seen in a long time. You know, and these things here are eyes. You know, like on the side of his head. It's just like really cool. So I had to show it, but that's it.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Gavin, were you able to?
Yeah, I've got people. I gotta figure out if I'm screen sharing this right.
So what you do, left hand side?
Yeah, does that work? Can you guys see this?
Yeah, we got you.
Yep.
All right. So actually, I'm gonna cheat with Charlie, and
You know,
what's that?
I've picked this guy before. This is awesome.
Oh shit! Really? Okay. Well, anyway,
No, that's good. No, that's good.
The reason why I pick him is that to me he's this like mystery because I don't know who he is other than occult art.
Exactly.
So it's like, dude, you just dropped these amazing sculpts, and it's like I don't know who you are. Who are you? And I feel like I don't know if you guys and like I always talk about him, but do you remember an artist named Mr. Kite?
Yes.
Yeah. So I absolutely love Andy Nisbet, right? Like Mr. Kite, and he just like vanished, like off of like the internet. Like I don't know, he's just gone, right? So yeah. So like people have like folders of his work on their computers. It's like this weird like punk rock underground like game art portfolio thing where it's like, yeah, I've got all of Kite's work from like 2006 or something, right? It's so good. And I feel like this guy is the next Mr. Kite, where like his work is so good and it's got like such a nice style to it. And it's so solid, and then he's just gonna like vanish and just be gone, and it's gonna be like, where did he go? Who was he? Who was he? You know?
This is why I love game artists on here because no one else picked this except me. And that day I picked this for artist inspiration. Carlos and Jack both said, "Don't you ever pick someone to pick it." I think it ended up becoming our title for that that thing. For something
I'm sorry.
Making jokes about like his artwork because we spent like good 5-10 minutes. I went through the art station and like each one I kept looking at because I was looking at it for the second or third time because I found it earlier in the week. We were like, "Oh, look at that way," and then Carlos would find something else that I wouldn't see in it. I'm like, "Oh." Don't know how he sculpted that, but that's really good.
Yeah. So then the other one is Marie. I don't know if you've shown her work before.
No.
But she's worked on like Street Fighter, XCOM, like a bunch of different titles. Her fan art for League got quite a bit of like attention too. But generally, she's really good, like solid artist. You know, has a good variety. Like has like nice, like the shading, great modeling, really solid game artist. Like if there was something I could point people to, like that are coming out of school, this would be like this. You know what I mean? Like there's like consistency, like execution is, you know.
How new is she?
I think she's like a few years pro.
Because isn't that like League of Legends one there? Wasn't that part of her port? Or no, she do that afterwards?
She did it afterwards.
Oh, that afterwards. Yeah. I remember seeing that on the station.
Yeah.
I mean on Polycount, I think.
Yeah. But
when she did the monk from Diablo too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Ellie. Yeah, she's good on. Yeah, she's good.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. That's my those are my shows. Sorry to reshare, I guess.
No.
Oh no. It just validates everything that we
Yeah. A cold art is up there and he's really good.
Yeah.
I wish I could find a way to have him on the show.
Yeah. Who is he? You have to have a name. It's like that's like, do you want to know him? Do you want to know who the Phantom of the Opera is? You know, like do you want to know who's behind the mask?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I just want it to be a mystery.
2017, like everybody knows everybody's like online now.
Yeah.
He's still just like nope.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure somebody knows, right? I'm sure like somebody's walked by his desk and like he's had his profile up. He's like, oh shit, and like closes it like really quick. But like I don't know. I kind of want him to be a mystery because I also don't want to like find out who he is and then he's like a terrible person or something. Like I don't know. You know what I mean? So like I kind of just want it to be like that. Like just
I feel like
leave
that's
it
how
this
that
way.
Zebro guy was too. Have you
Hmm.
you know Zebro, the
Mhm.
Zebro guy? I feel like that's how he is. There's
Yeah,
a couple of those like artists online where you're like, yo, you're sculpting in either Mudbox or ZBrush is just different.
Mhm.
Everybody else's.
yeah.
There's a level of detail there that like
I haven't figured it out yet.
For all we know, occult art is probably a 12-year-old sitting somewhere whose mom is yelling at him to turn off the TV.
his mom likes his art.
He's hogging all the internet. She's trying
Yeah.
to watch her YouTube.
Can you imagine being like Ms. Occult Art and like being the one to tell your kid that he's awesome and he's this guy, and then he listens to this podcast and I'm like, your fucking mom is no shit, right? And it's like, whoa, oh god, and like I just like totally ruined this guy's life.
Next day he's like really mad, mean to his mom. Mom,
Yeah.
don't give me a compliment, Mom. You don't understand my art.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So if you're out there, occult art, don't listen to your mother. Tell her to take all that stuff off her refrigerator. Nobody wants to see it.
Wipe your hard drive.
And with that, my friends, hey Gavin, if people are looking for you online, where can they find you?
I mean, I'm glued to Twitter all the time, so it's at Gavin Goulden. I have a bunch of different domains that I point towards my ArtStation, which is gavingoulden.com, and that'll just go to my Gavin art. I think it's Gavin at ArtStation. I'm that old that I don't even have to have a last name for our ArtStation.
Or bad.
I'm just Gavin.
Yeah.
And then
then I just know you like that.
Yeah. Then on Polycount, I'm Gav. Yeah.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
You might very well be known as the Madonna of the art world. All you need is one name.
Yeah, I think I'm really more of a share based on my
More of a
based on. I mean, I don't want to pat myself on the back here, but I'm really more of a share. Actually,
That's so awesome. I think Cher's having a better time right now.
That's so good.
So good. I think that's the name of the show. I'm more of a share.
Hey Charlie, if people are looking for you online, where can they find you?
If you want to find me, you can find me on my ArtStation page, which is artstation.com/CharlieBW3. You can find me at my webpage, which is cargocollective.com/CharlieBWilliams. Pinterest is CharlieBW3. Instagram CBW3. Instagram CharlieBW3. Twitter CBW3. Facebook CharlieBW3. Get it all.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And a quick little shout out to Wes Burke, to Ryan Brockmeyer, to Shane Olson, to Gabriel Salazar de Urcudi, So Much Monsters, Raiden OT, all you guys. And if I missed anyone, I do apologize. Thank you guys for coming out and hanging out. I am Carlos Gomez. You can find me pretty much out there anywhere under the name Coconut Justice, coconutjustice.com, and then just link off of there. This is Sketch Zone. Find us. This is episode 109. We have 108 other hot messes that we like to call Sketch Zone. You can go to sketch.zone for that. What else? Where you can find us on Facebook, find us on Instagram, find us on YouTube, obviously, because there's a lot of you guys watching on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Oh, quick little apology for the Facebook crowd. Something happened with the sound, so I just cut it short. You should have been watching us on YouTube anyway. Just kidding. We're gonna get that figured out so people can be able to watch on. It was getting pretty good on Facebook. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much it. You can find us anywhere you can find podcasts. Until then,
being back next time, and shout out to Jack.
Shout out to Jack. Yeah. Sketchbookjack.com, Sketchbook Jack everywhere else. I think that's it. Thank you, everyone. Thanks again, Gavin.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, man.
Have a good week.
See you guys.